It's currently 8:15 p.m. Here's where I am currently with my current polystyrene drawing project at my mom's place. I squeezed in some time, about 45 minutes to an hour or so, after my shift at Wegmans, which was from 8 in the morning to 4:30 p.m. I primarily worked on this area today. As of 8:22 p.m., yesterday's my dinner video project finished uploading to my YouTube channel around an hour and 45 minutes ago. I recall I finished editing it through the YouCut video editor app on my phone. Around 5:15 p.m. after I primarily worked on editing that video project file shortly before the start of my shift, after my mom had drove me to the Wegmans I work at during my two 15-minute breaks and during my 30-minute lunch. I recall by the time my mom picked me up from the Wegmans I work at after my shift, I only had roughly 8 minutes of raw video clips left to review on the YouCut video editor app, which I did as soon as I was back in my room upstairs at my mom's place. Sitting on my bed, though I started uploading yesterday's my dinner video project file to my YouTube channel through the YouTube mobile app, and then doing some work on my current polystyrene drawing project at my mom's place. Sitting at my established work area downstairs between the living room and the kitchen areas at my mom's place. I'm done working on that for today, as I plan on going to bed by 10 p.m., 11 p.m. at the very latest, though 11 p.m. is more the time I plan on being asleep by. I recall naturally waking up today around 3 in the morning, falling back asleep within about 2 minutes, and then naturally waking up for the last time today around 4 in the morning. I got up about half an hour later after spending that time contemplating whether I should get up or try to go back to bed and get some more sleep, as by that point I had gotten roughly 5 hours of sleep, and during that half hour before I ultimately decided to get up, I went between deciding to get up and deciding to try to go back to bed. Despite only getting roughly 5 hours of sleep, I haven't felt tired once today. Not currently, and not at any point during my shift at Wegmans, except maybe around 11 in the morning, right after the end of the anniversary breakfast for those who started working at Wegmans in August. That anniversary breakfast was from 10 in the morning to 11 in the morning. Me and some of my coworkers at the Wegmans I work at were all seated at little square tables within a portion of the cafe part of the supermarket. Usually it's all open to the public, but a large portion of that public cafe part of the supermarket, that large part was near a large conference room where meetings with employees and managers and or local third-party groups are held. It was in that large conference room that all of the food for the anniversary breakfast was served, which included French toast, tater tots, scrambled eggs, pork sausage, turkey chicken, sausage, bacon, diced hatched chilies, and plenty of various pastries as desserts. There were also biscuits and gravy, with the gravy being a turkey sausage gravy. For beverages, there were plastic bottles of water, a few different varieties of juice, such as orange juice, and I recall there also being cranberry juice, though I just opted for a plastic bottle of water, plenty of scrambled eggs, some turkey, chicken, sausage, a few slices of bacon, and on all that, I scooped on some of the turkey sausage gravy, and some original Tabasco sauce. The food was already around 10:15 in the morning, and I recall I didn't have to wait in line for very long before I was up to serve on a compostable paper plate. And metal scoops and ladles with all the food being in metal party trays with heaters underneath them. To keep everything hot. I got what I got at the time, as I wanted to stick to a keto-friendly diet. Around 7:15 in the morning, I had with a little Premier Protein branded vanilla protein shake in a plastic container with a twistable plastic cap, 4 sunny side up eggs, and some ground hamburger. So, as I made conversation with 2 coworkers who sat with me in front of me at the table I sat at the time, both before and after getting my food for the anniversary breakfast, and then a little later on, a male coworker who works as a chef at the Wegmans I work at sat to the left of me. Directly in front of me sat a male coworker with short black hair that I'm pretty familiar with at this point. And to the left of that sat an older male coworker with short black hair that I'm somewhat familiar with at this point. As I made conversation with them both before and after the food for the anniversary breakfast was served, I talked about my polystyrene drawing projects and how I like to draw on polystyrene with permanent marker. I couldn't finish all of the food I got before it was 11 in the morning. And the anniversary breakfast was officially over, though unofficially there were still a few of my coworkers there at that section of the cafe part of the supermarket and the nearby large conference room that had been reserved for the anniversary breakfast. By that point, I just had a few slices of bacon with some turkey sausage gravy on them. I had opted for the turkey chicken sausage over the pork sausage, as I figured that would be less processed. I finished what I got from that anniversary breakfast when I took my 30-minute lunch around 2:45 p.m. I took my first 15-minute break around noon, and then I took my second and last 15-minute break around 4 p.m. After the anniversary breakfast, I felt somewhat stuffed and sluggish, but after about 15 or so minutes of sipping at what was left of that plastic bottle of water, I recall having about 2/3 of it during the anniversary breakfast, and working at a bit slower pace than I was prior to the anniversary breakfast, I felt perfectly fine again. I got this in a little white paper envelope. I recall one was given out to me and every coworker that attended. I recall roughly 30 in total. And at one point, not too long after the food was served and everyone had filled their first plate, I only got one plate. A female coworker who's a manager of the Wegmans I work at had everyone who attended, each one by one, clockwise, briefly introduce themselves before stating a fact about themselves not everyone may know. When it got to my turn, after briefly introducing myself, I spent roughly 2 to 3 minutes talking about, for my fact, not everyone may know about me. I talked about how I enjoy drawing on polystyrene with Sharpie markers, and then went on to briefly discuss a few technical details of that, talking about blending and the difference between ultra fine point Sharpie markers and fine point Sharpie markers. In my own words, what I'm having currently, my mom packed for me as my lunch. For my shift at Wegmans today, but as by 11 in the morning, I had already had 2 meals today and still had a few slices of bacon from the anniversary breakfast to eat. I decided to instead bring my initial lunch for my shift at Wegmans today back to my mom's place when she picked me up from the Wegmans I work at, and instead have it for dinner as I am currently. When I got up for today, after a short while, I got an aluminum can Wildberry Celsius energy drink, and occasionally sipped at it over the next hour and a half or so as I first reviewed the August 15 my dinner video on my YouTube channel to make sure everything with the audio and video was alright before I deleted that converted UCut video project file along with the raw video clips I used to make it. And then I started a new UCut video project, putting the photos of the photo part and then the raw video clips of yesterday's my dinner video project in order. Throughout my shift today, I primarily restocked the hard items section, which predominantly consists of varieties of onions and potatoes, and is right in front of the banana section of the produce department, which is at the very back of it. And I restocked the banana section a few times throughout my shift, only double stacking to not leave an open, partially full banana box on the banana runner, which I recall reloading twice throughout my shift. Though during the first hour or so of my shift, I primarily restocked the front sections and front displays of the produce department, and at one point during that period of my shift, I restocked the two flat open displays for regular seedless watermelons near each other at the front entrance of the supermarket that's closest to the produce department, using two different large octagonal cardboard containers, or bins as they're called, of regular seedless watermelons, pulling each one using a hand jack from the section of the employees only warehouse for those who work in the produce department. Here's where I am currently on the task sets for the current episodic event on Elvenar.